Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am so excited to have you here. I have a couple coming in still, and I hope you're having a great week and safe from the storm. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Let's see, make sure I'm not muted. Wonderful. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Woohoo! I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for being the first one to say something, Jay. My
I
name.
am hot out here in Arizona.
Hey, Kristen, I'm sure you are. What's the temperature out there?
Oh my gosh, it's been like in the 110s, you know.
I mean,
The usual.
the usual. Hey, I'll take 110, I guess, over 120.
Yeah.
Hi, doing good. Glad to be here.
So excited to have everybody today. Thank you for joining me. And I know some of us, maybe it was even last minute, but I'm really excited to have everybody here speak a little bit more about the bright side, who I am, what the consulting community is, what it's all about, and what it boils down to. So thank you so much for joining. And the ultimate goal for the Brightside community and the consulting community is to allow you the opportunity and the knowledge and the overall support to start and launch your own consulting business. And in 90 days, that seems like a very huge feat, but I promise you it's possible. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to jump right in. And then what I will do is I'll open it up at the end for some questions. And I'm hoping we'll have some good participation today. So I'm going to take a minute and allow everybody, even just a moment, to just think you've made it. At least being here today in general can be. Hey, Iris.
Sorry.
Glad to have you. And I wanted to make sure everybody really took a moment to think about where we've come so far already in our day and in our week and in our journey as a pharmacist. And to just think overall, we haven't given ourselves enough credit. And so it's really exciting to just kind of think, to tune out all the noise that's going on a day to day and to have come together in these moments right now in this particular meeting. You're here. And so I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate that with you guys because really there's a lot of wins that we failed to celebrate. And so making it here today is one of those. So I know a lot of us in pharmacy and as pharmacists we're under fire in a regular basis. And so I want to make sure we're all seeing the bright side. And that's where I came and put this together. And so I want to introduce myself for those that don't know me. I am a very hard worker overall, business owner. I've owned a consulting business now for over 5 years. I own a coffee shop and playground, and then I have as well now this coaching community and have been coaching pharmacists for a couple months now. And I am a wife to a husband who was a stay-at-home dad for a little while, and now he's a barista at the coffee shop and gets to play with kids and make coffee all day. Recently, I've been pitching to Forbes and several other magazines that you'll see there. And I have in the past been a leader to over 100 amazing pharmacists, interns, and technicians, and was able to train and educate and provide knowledge and resources to my old team. I know Kristen is there, and I know she could speak to that. It was so fun at our time with Tabula Rasa. And so I'm excited to be able to tap into my education experience and teaching and being able to share that with everybody now with my education on consulting. I didn't start easy though. I'll share I did grow up poor with a single mom. I am the first and only female in my family to have graduated college and then became a pharmacist at that. So that's pretty big. And I didn't marry into money, so nothing has come easy. And I'm sure a lot of us on the call today can really think and resonate a lot with the student loan debt a lot of us come out as pharmacists with. So once graduating, I really didn't have very much direction. I worked at a call center in the MCM industry and really enjoyed that, but I knew long-term I wanted to do my own thing and open up my own business. And so I believed in my own abilities, and I wanted to make sure that, my past didn't define where my future went. And so I want all of you to know, no matter where you've come in the past, that the future is really up to you, and you can do just about anything you set your mind to. I know you can. And so that's a little bit about me. I have a holistic diabetes wellness practice that I started, you'll see here, with my old friend, mentor, coach, and business partner, Asha. We set out to do this together, actually, after I started my holistic diabetes wellness practice with her help and her guidance, her sources with tools and tips and the strategies that she learned. I was able to build a holistic wellness practice and honestly landed my first client in less than a month. I didn't really mean to, but talking about it when you're passionate about something, it actually became pretty easy. And so we set out to then help other pharmacists together. And in this, I have this up here as a tribute, because for those that haven't met Asha or ever heard of her, she's impacted so many lives, and I know she did for me, and I wouldn't be here without her. And our goal was to help even more pharmacists to see the bright side of things and to learn how to consult and find the passion that really lights us up and what we got into this for. So with her help, I started and have my own holistic wellness practice, helping to prevent and those that have diabetes turn their diabetes around. I've been operating that, and it's fully functioning for now over a year, and really excited actually for the future plans for that, because I have some big ideas as well. And once you have something going, I mean, again, the sky is the limit. So when it comes to the path to consulting, I know that's one of the biggest questions, is like, where do I start? And how do I get going? And one of the biggest things is that we have to make that decision, right? You have to make that, like, is this the path for me? And are you going to decide to do this? So the steps are there. I mean, there is knowledge out there. You can do it all on your own too. But I learned after doing it on my own the first time around without any help at all, I ended up going squirrel, and, I fell off track. So I initially landed and did not actually have a consulting business, even though I started everything with the goal to help embed more pharmacists into clinical practice. And so I was enjoying my time at Tabula Rasa, but after losing my job, I kind of was faced with the reality of, what do I do? And that's when I met Asha and was able to put together the steps and the processes that she had with her mentorship, and then launch and start honestly selling my services, but helping people. I was able to turn one patient's A1C around, and honestly, a 6-week program, he went down 1%, over 1%, and he was thrilled. And so I have a shining recommendation from him. I know that the steps work. I remember speaking with Asha when we set out to do this together, and she's like, I know the steps work, Ashley. You don't need to call it a beta. So we're not doing beta, but I am really excited, and I'll miss her, but I know that with this community, her legacy will continue. And so it does come down to that decision, right now, as you kind of think about what is it that it takes to be a consultant, it's the decision. I know we can kind of think, where is it that I might fit into consulting? There are so many different ideas and options. We can stay in that mindset for so long, though. And so I'm just going to say, that there is too many options, but at the same time, you're able to make a decision. I can help you with that. I've put together an assessment as well that will help kind of guide you. And then once you've gone through it and you've found where you might actually, land and be successful in it, work at it for 90 days and see how it goes and see if it feels right because ultimately the goal for everybody here is to start your own business that lights your fire, that sets the soul on fire, and that you wake up excited and eager and thrilled to be able to help and serve others. And so I don't want you coming into this and then becoming burnt out again, or on that path, but eager and feeling like you're here and that this is the passion and your overall goal with life, and where your overall strengths are shining and your abilities are able to be, used and served for others. As pharmacists, I think we do a really good job at showcasing how well we are to others in pharmacy, but we all know that, putting ourselves out there is a little uncomfortable, and we're not too great at that. And so I can help with going through, the motions of how do you put yourself out there, and helping with building the confidence. And I know overall, a lot of us look at the financial aspects too. Will they pay me? We're so used to giving away our knowledge for free. Well, I'll tell you they do, and they will. I put actually, and I didn't highlight it, but some of my Stripe payments, I was working on getting their screenshots on there, but people are looking for help. It's too bad right now where there's a lot of sick and then there's a lot of broken in the system, but we can do a lot to help. So the first thing is to decide. My most recent group of pharmacists were able to start their own thing in a variety of paths. One's in the holistic approach, another with the functional medicine, as well as functional medicine with a specific on CBD and cannabis, which is a really exciting space right now. And another, a very special program that he'll be offering for those with HIV and PrEP to the health systems. And so the path to consulting can vary for everybody. You can go through the patient pay. You can go to physicians and primary care and specialty care offices. You can offer your services even non-clinically in the legal realm and regulatory spaces. And then there's the option to do and help pharmacies and using the knowledge and the skills that you already have. The amount of expertise that we have is exponential. And so how can we harness your uniqueness and also the passion that you may have, or maybe you've had this idea and you're thinking, oh, this could be really neat. I spoke with someone recently. I don't know if she's here and I'll check, but for the Spanish patient population, I'm just like, what a need. I don't see her, but I will make sure to highlight her and send her the recording. But it's pretty neat that there's so many opportunities and problems out there that are calling for somebody to help. And in building this community, I even learned that, there's a lot of wellness coaches out there that have absolutely no credentials, including one, the community app that I'm looking at. And there's a diabetes gal that goes and has recipes, but she has no credentials. So the fact that we're all here with the education and the underlying background of being in the industry of pharmacy, I think it opens up so many more doors. There is still trust and respect in being a pharmacist, but when you find out your passion, you're going to identify more of like, this is how I help others. So I have a diabetes prevention practice, a holistic wellness practice, and I'm a pharmacist. And so it's kind of, it pairs, but it's not my direct of like, I'm a pharmacist but I have this practice. And I also happen to be a pharmacist. So it gives them that extra trust and layer of confidence when they're purchasing and working with you. And so I wanted to kind of share this experience. I alluded a bit to, but it's been a long journey, over 5 to 6 years now, really. Originally, I did set out without any help. And it's been ups and downs, and even owning a coffee shop with the playground. Being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing. It is not. It has been very lonely sometimes. And there's been some really highs of like, wow, we're doing so great. And then there's been some lows of like, okay, I need to figure out what we can do to keep this going, and ideas and really some more internal growth And what is it that I'm into this for? So why did I get into this? And is it enough to continue to drive me and fuel me for the future? So one of the biggest changes for me was working with Asha. And I already highlighted that really, that was the pivoting point for myself. So I had a consulting business, but I didn't necessarily get it anywhere. It wasn't thriving, and I tried to do it all on my own. So with some help and guidance, more direct with somebody that's been in the industry and been doing it for some time, that gave me a lot more confidence, and then the ability to now really articulate the entire process. And that was our goal together in the consulting community. And so here I am. I have all of her expertise and her knowledge that I learned. And after her sudden passing, I'll continue to share and hopefully lead to a positive impact as she did as well. And I think one of the things to think about is, every day, how are you feeling? Do you feel and are you recognizing, some of the symptoms that we may have with the imposter syndrome? I know a lot of the world tells us that we might be not enough, gain the amount of respect or seen as the provider or the clinician that we are as a pharmacist. We don't value the education and the knowledge that we have enough. And so I'm going to kind of repeat and have you repeat after me and with me. You're enough. And already, like right now, in where you're at, I know that this can work for you. I know that it can work for you because it worked for me. And I know the steps work. And as long as you've got a passion and a desire to make this work, you are enough already. You are enough already. And you can make this work. And through the community and with the support of each other and myself, we'll lean onto each other and into each other for our successes and our wins and our trials and our triumphs. Use the resources and the networking. Somebody may be a lot more intuitive. And I mentioned CBD and cannabis. I can't say I'm an expert in that, but I definitely know one. And she'll be likely in the community here in a few days as well. So with all of the different expertise, if we can lean into each other and make sure we're lifting each other up as we're going through this and making sure we don't fall. I know that's one of the biggest things too, is staying on track and making sure that we continue the momentum, because it's so easy to get sidetracked and then have things fall apart, just like working out. You might start that whole new habit, but we work through that and together. And where you stand right now, you're enough already. And it's so much easier when you have a community. So what's the community about? Overall, the goal is to get you up and started in a consulting business in 90 days. And that means launched and offering and taking clients and earning a return on your investment, right? Or an ROI. And so landing a client is the big thing. And overall, having the solutions and the education and the knowledge and the support and guidance is what we're here to do. And so I'll be leading that with the core steps and the knowledge to get you at least started and then launched and then marketing and landing and speaking to your clients and pivoting and adjusting quite a little bit depending on all the data that you get. And so we'll have weekly live sessions as well, where we'll come together and they'll be recorded as well. I know sometimes life happens and maybe the schedules don't align, but the big picture is we'll have weekly live sessions each week. We'll bring in guest speakers and we'll have a focus on what are you going to do next week? How is it going to be better? What can we do? What are you struggling with? And we'll have a lot of guidance and direction and tools and the resources to make sure that this is successful for you all and that you continue to thrive in it and not just have it be something that's like on the side on your shelf that's collecting dust, right? Like I want this to be for you and that we're going to keep working at it. And lastly is the time. Oh my gosh. I actually am working with Jamie Wilkie. Many of you probably know her, and So she kind of mentioned to me, and so I'll share, I am working full-time as well as operating the current community and teaching pharmacists how to build their own consulting business. I am still operating my diabetes wellness and holistic practice, and then helping, of course, with my coffee shop and playground, and I have a family and all that other jazz. So when it comes down to time, when you are believing in something and you feel that there is a purpose and a bigger point to your overall efforts every day, I know that there's going to be time, even if you're on vacation, even if you're, working maybe full time and you have a family. I know that this can work for you, and we'll inch it and maybe even warp speed it like I did, and landing my client at least within that first 30 days because I was hyper speed. So the real reality is that with the right habits, and we'll work on that in time auditing overall, is that there can be the time. It's what can we do to help and get you there and find that time, and how can we offload some things. And I know for myself, I've leaned into my husband a lot, and the support system that I have to make sure that I can find the time that is needed to make sure this is successful overall for everybody, as well as for myself. And so when you believe in something enough, I know that the time is going to be found. And maybe you're thinking, this isn't the right time for me. Life happens. And if it's not right now, it could likely be one of those things. I'm going to get to it, right? I'll get to it eventually. And yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this in a year, or I want to do this in a couple years. I mean, depending on your goal, doing it right now, or at least getting those steps into place, is going to be really in your best interest long term. Because, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. So if we get the steps going for you to where then in that 1 year, you're like, I want to go full time into this. Gosh, imagine where you could be if you put the effort in the beginning, even if it was, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. So I promise that it can be done, even for the busy folks. So I'm going to pause here and really kind of give you a little bit of an assignment, and then we'll open it up for questions, because one of the biggest things that I found personally was to dive into my personal why and into my strengths and what makes me me and what my purpose is here in life. And within the community, we'll dive deeper, and I'll have an assignment that we'll work through together. But one of the best books that I have personally read, and I kind of feel like it was Kristen, I don't remember if you made us read this book, but
Yep.
Asha made me read it again. So it definitely helps with a lot of the internal reflection that you need to think about, why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing, and why does that matter? And so I want this to be for you. This community, I told even Jamie, it's not an Ashley show. Right now, I feel like it is, but I'll stop in just a moment. But the big picture is, to build something that you're passionate about, that you're inspired by, that you can't help but share with the others, that you believe in, and that your mission is to make a difference, and that you're confident in that ability. And I know that you can get there if we can step back and reflect just a little while. And so if you haven't, pick up the book. If you do have it, dust off that book off your shelf and work through it, and really kind of lean into some self-reflection as to, what this journey could look like for you, and think, why is it that this matters? And I know I shared, after going into business with Asha, I knew that I wanted to help patients with diabetes and diabetes prevention because of how angry I was because of the care of my husband and the lack thereof of any knowledge and education they shared when he was pre-diabetic. And that infuriated me, and I wanted to have a problem solved. And so that's where the Diabetes 180 program came from with my Prosper RX program. And so I know that I had a passion for it and I'll continue that journey. And I mentioned big plans for it, super exciting. But I ultimately came into this to help pharmacists. And so I can be the example. I know it can work because I made it work. And will they pay me? Yes, they did. And can I put together solutions? Absolutely. You've got the knowledge and the expertise, and maybe you brush up just a bit, one or two things, but you don't have to be perfect coming into this. We need to embrace just the journey in itself and having a starting point. And the starting point now is just finding your why and then deciding that you're going to be a consultant. Are you going to want to consult and provide, whether that is specialty services to, it could be physicians, it could be to patients. You could advocate and put together a patient advocacy. I know there is a friend that I've seen doing the same thing, or deprescribing. I'm sure others have seen that as well, and pediatrics and oncology and CBD, and I really could go on. And then there's non-patient facing with legal and regulatory affairs. And I mean, the list, if you want the list, I'll send you it over. I have over 40 different ideas. And really, it's probably close to 50 now, but where you could build a consulting business around. So I want you to start with your why. So that way this becomes your real purpose and it matches and aligns and doesn't burn you out, but builds you up. So I know I've spoke a lot, and what I'll do is I'm hoping that, oh, wonderful. If there's any questions, I don't see anything. If you want to put some questions in the chat, and maybe if there were any questions that you wanted to say out loud, if I don't have the answer as well, or if we don't have time, I'll respond to everybody as well by email. But it's a really exciting time, I think, to be a pharmacist. And I'm so thrilled really to be able to have this opportunity to be able to share that it can be made for you. You can do this. You can start a consulting business. And I put in 90 days, if you put the effort and the legwork in the consulting community, I will actually call you out for inactivity. That is a goal, because we need to be accountable and for this to work. Oh, great question. So I'm getting some good questions, and I'll go ahead. I'm going to take a look here. I don't have a moderator. If Asha was here, she would be helping me, but it's just me. So that's a great question. First off, I will mention that in consulting, depending on your route, for the most part, you don't have to have any special licenses or anything like that. I think somebody recently shared too that they even tried to apply to a pharmacy board and they denied them. So realistically, your knowledge and your education to put together a consulting practice and business is enough. So there is no need for any sort of special licensing. As far as the different states, I've been helping people in Ohio and Utah, I'm pretty sure New Jersey, and I'm trying to forget, one of the gals just moved, but really all over the United States. And that's the beauty now of building an online business, is I can help just about anyone across the country. As far as my diabetes wellness prevention program, I've been local here in my small community. I'm on the coast in North Carolina, and it's absolutely beautiful if you haven't been here. But my big program and plan for it is going to be also to take it online. And so I'm excited for that. As far as, let's see, for my program, I'm going to ask you to maybe clarify for the program itself, for the Bright Side One Consulting, or for my diabetes program. Perfect. So when it comes to the consulting business and the consulting community, you'll be provided the education on a weekly basis. We'll go through the steps on what it takes to get to consulting, and that includes going through, I'm going to be honest, a lot of mindset. because 80% of our success really lies in where your head's at. 80%. The rest of it's skills and the steps that you can learn, but a lot of it is in the mindset. And then from there, we all go through building out your clients and what it is that you want to offer in your pricing and your marketing and overall. So the goal is once you have all that education and knowledge and you're taking the actions, and I will continue to hold you accountable, is to then have a offer and putting yourself out there in 90 days or less. So I was able to put together my own, the actual program for my holistic diabetes practice and start making offers. Like I said, I landed my first client without exactly meaning to. Did I go by my script? No, I was just authentically me and it happened, but we'll put together that. And once you put yourself out there and the more and more you do, the more chances of success you'll have. So get your consulting business open and launched and taking clients in 90 days. That is the benchmark. Oh, I like that you asked about the other one. So I'll share a bit about my diabetes prevention practice that I have. It is a holistic wellness program, and it was one-on-one coaching. And I am taking clients, but obviously it's not my main focus, but I am still sharing that, especially in my local community, because it's a huge need here. And so I offer a 6-week one-on-one program. And every week they go through training material and education. And then we have a live session and we track their nutrients and their activity levels and even their sleep and other things as well. And so we've got the systems built in where I can have them, continue to track that through an app and have them visualize what it is when people think they're healthy and they actually start tracking it. It's a whole nother story. We'll even do a deep dive into their pantry. I want to see that pantry and let's read the ingredients, and it's going to involve a good clear out usually. So, but that's a 6-week program. Usually towards the end, I'll offer them to continue working with me on a monthly basis, or if they're, needing more intensive help, which some may, another 6 weeks, and usually for a discount. So I'm hoping that that answered your question, but the program itself focuses on a lot of nutrition and education, which pharmacists have the knowledge to be able to educate on how to prevent diabetes and hypertension and all of those diseases. Really, if we put the knowledge to use, right, then it would make a world of difference. And people are looking for alternatives because they're just not on track. And when it comes to reimbursement, there's a variety of options that you can go down. I know that was one big question. There obviously is easiest, I'm going to tell you, to do cash pay, but I do have access and am following all of the incident to billing codes for those that go the provider route. And so there's the incident to billing where you'll use a collaborative practice usually, or depending on the program that you're offering, you've got the billing codes that they could then submit for your services. And so, but every state hopefully will gain more and more independent practice. Every state is different as to whether or not you can independently prescribe. I'm from recollection, Arkansas, and I know Oregon have a lot of options now for independent prescribing, and there's more and more states that are going through that. So, the big picture is which realm do you want to go down, and we can go in and really learn about that. But I think the big plan is to have at least the resource bank for you to be able to then, use those codes and showcase that you can provide the services to others, including physician offices. And hey, here's the codes to use. So great question. What else, guys? Oh, great questions on liability insurance. I'm thinking usually I would just consult your usual insurance carrier. I think I guided one of the pharmacists too, because he was going through 2 different health systems and offering programs for them. and just asking your current insurance provider if there was any need for extra coverage. But definitely something to think about. And I mean, realistically, though, to be able to, depending on what you're offering, you may not even need a license. So, but I know us, we want to protect ourselves, and that license I worked so hard for, so I'm keeping it. I personally, for my diabetes wellness practice that I have, I took cash payment. And I offered a one-time payment, or I would allow them to break it up into, maybe every 2 weeks, since it was a 6-week program, really depends. And so it's going to be up to you really how you want to structure your payments and your plan overall. And I think one of the big pictures is looking at our finances and what are your personal goals. And if you're doing this to maybe, break free and have this full time, then what does that look like? And how many patients or how many hours really, right, time wise, to go back and try to map that out. And one of the things that we'll have to we'll go away from is looking at our value per hour and big picture as to the values that you're providing. And so I know with my consulting business, I'll tell you, it's definitely far more than an hourly salary at a full-time job. So you've got to be comfortable. I'll help you get there in offering your services. And it might be uncomfortable a bit in the beginning, but as you go through and you gain, especially in the beginning, some of your beta clients that you'll take for a lower cost, you'll get them the benefits and all of your outcomes that you can provide. And then from there, gain a lot more confidence in the ability. And I think the goal is to have you want to do this. And so setting our pricing is a huge focus to make sure that it is set to where I'm not going to resent this business. I'm not going to resent working my tush off and still not making enough. So we have to be comfortable with that. There's not any additional licenses usually needed for a consulting business. Now, in the consulting community, I will let you know, and Asha would say, don't put the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart. So we want to make sure we're going the right way as far as our, dotting our I's and our T's in the right order. But when it comes to like an actual license, I know here in North Carolina, there is a practitioner license, but that's going to be if I'm actually in the doctor's office practicing. And so it's going to vary as to what path you're looking for. But if you're looking, generally speaking, to provide consulting services, whether that is directly to patients or to maybe the health systems or legal systems, I mentioned even pharmacies, right? There's too many options. There really is, but you don't need any extra licenses. Your knowledge is enough. You have the expertise. We need to lead into the fact that we have a degree. We have a license, and a heavy part of that is to dispense, right? But we're not looking at that. So we have a license and we have a degree, and you have the degree, which gives you the education and the knowledge, and you can share that. Thank you. What other questions do you guys have? I feel like we've had a lot of good questions overall on insurance and all that. And I will send out that list, and I'll even send out, what I'll do is I'll send out the email tonight with some of the next steps, but also that will include a quick assessment that will allow you to maybe determine where you might fit in consulting if you're struggling with that area. And it'll have over 20 different areas that you can build a consulting business around. And honestly, it's pretty extensive. So I'm going to ask you to think, what is it that you're feeling called to or led to? I spoke to a nurse yesterday, and she's going to work for, a company in chronic care management, but she has a passion for women's health and our hormones. And what do you know? Crazy need for that. I mean, nobody knows what they're doing out there when it comes to females and their hormones and the peri and menopausal state, right? And I'm seeing a lot actually lately kind of join into that. And that's exciting because there's a need. I mean, even my in-law is going through it and she's looking for help. So really exciting times to have the education and the knowledge and be able to serve those people and also build an entire business around it. So what other questions do you guys have, guys? And if anybody wants to share where they're at and their current time, if they're maybe thinking about consulting or have started and maybe you're stuck, because I know that can happen as well. Or maybe you've had an idea for a long time and you're like, gosh, this could work for me. I'd love to know where you're at.
Hi everyone. My name is Precious Ohagu. Sorry I can't turn on my camera right now, but I'm currently a clinical pharmacy specialist and I practice at one of the health systems here in Delaware. And, I do a lot of chronic disease management, hypertension, diabetes, COPD, asthma, but we are only 3 people, pharmacists and primary care, doing this. And I do recognize a lot of need that's needed because we have like wait lists of like even a month out for the pharmacist. And I just feel like there could be a little bit more I could be doing for my patients as well. And not just like being limited um, by your organizational rules. Like, you can do this, but you can't do this, even though I know I can do more. So that's kind of why I am really interested in like seeing, what other opportunities out there are available so I can like leverage my license and my experience and my knowledge that I'm using every single day. And I think as well, especially in the economy that we're in right now, multiple sources of income is really important. And so I know we don't like to talk about money, but money is really important. That's how you pay your bills. Exactly. So I do also want to start, getting other streams of income using my existing knowledge. And I know the need is out there. Like I literally have patients asking me, can you take my son on as a patient? And just because I'm in the health system, I can't really do that unless I am working with a healthcare, like a physician or something within the healthcare system. And I'm trying to see if I can break out of that and actually offer these services that I know people need and people ask me about all the time while also making some extra money for myself.
I love that. And I'm so glad you shared that because you're right now in the trenches, right? You're seeing all of these sick people and I mean our system, let's be real, it's not necessarily set up to prevent their disease. It's there to help them while they're there and they're going to keep coming back because they're sick. But like my husband I shared was pre-diabetic. Nobody told him that. It was just your lab's a little high. That was it. And so if we can be doing those types of things, I feel like people are eager to hear and learn and have a little bit of that hand holding. And what we think is a special or like common knowledge is actually special to others, right? I know what is healthy. And they're going to tell you they know what's healthy. Just like in the MTM call center, my blood pressure is fine. Okay, so what is it? 150/85. Okay, that's not fine. Right. So their definition of I'm eating healthy or I am, this is working, I'm doing okay. And you really dig into it, they're not. And so they're eager to try to help. I know alternative medicine in general is taking a huge, huge comeback, and people are looking for functional medicine and healing. One of the big areas too, I mentioned women's health, but the gut health and reducing inflammation through the use of proper gut health. I think that's another area. And so I think, like you said, Precious, if you can leverage what you have and then offer that service, on the side of like, yeah, actually I do. I take clients on currently and I can help set you up. One of the things that I'm finding is you'll want to make sure, and I'll help you, along the way, and structuring it in a way that fits your lifestyle too. We need the extra streams of income. They say 7, really, and I mean, like, that's crazy high. Who's got 7? But if we can get to, closer and closer, then those financial goals are going to be more realistic. And so, having that structured, and while you are working full time, you can absolutely build something and find the time and put together some energy, if you're feeling passionate for it, to then, have and lean into it when you need some more finances. And the goal is to, get this to have a return on your investment overall, and it's too sad where I feel like our family and our friends and our communities and the health systems, they're all overburdened, they're overwhelmed, they're undereducated. And I know that we can make a difference. And so we just have to we have to own it. I know you're amazing. Do you see yourself as that, as being able to provide value and able to make a difference and change lives? I know we can. Great question, Brittany. When it comes to consulting versus coaching, it's going to be the term consulting. It actually was really focused on long-term care, in the past. And so in general, now people are consulting for the most part on just about anything. I know a nurse that consults again for quality assurance for PBMs and big corporations. So you can consult, right? And that term is now more of an umbrella, right? I can consult with patients. I can consult with physicians and physician offices or healthcare systems, including hospital systems, legal systems. I mean, you name it. Who is your client? That's what we'll try to help work you through. And so, but coaching obviously is going to be more on, that one-on-one or that likely patient coaching. And so you could say my diabetes prevention practice was a coaching program, right? I coached them on how to prevent their diabetes from either worsening or from them actually becoming diabetic, because that's a huge focus for me. Is if you're struggling and you're about to, especially going into retirement, you better make sure you're not going to become diabetic into that next phase of your life. And so was I coaching? Probably, right? Wellness coaching. These days you can find a wellness coach or a health coach, anywhere. So I would say I would, use that leverage of the terms, and I'm a doctor, right? I'm a doctor. I have the knowledge. I own and operate this practice, whatever it may be, or consulting business. And from that, I have, I'm a pharmacist and I have all the knowledge and expertise. So whether you want to call yourself a coach or a consultant is going to be up to you and the path that you choose. Did that answer your question? And I know somebody else actually liked it too, so I want to make sure. Oh, please. Oh my gosh. Can I have you say that? And the people in the back of the room. So Precious in the chat says, stop being scared to say that we're doctors. You earned it, right? And we look at right now, I mentioned imposter syndrome, and it's so frustrating, the state that we're in, but pharmacists aren't owning it. You're a doctor. Stop. Own it. Earn it. You earned it. Share it. Showcase it. And I know I even kind of was like, when somebody was like, oh, I know a doctor. I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about? They're like, you. I'm like, oh. Yeah, you're right. But I think the more that we embrace that there is so much hard work, and it wasn't easy to get where we are. And maybe you've forgotten how pharmacy school was, but it was rigorous. And so we earned it. It was doctorate level education, and we know so much, and we're the experts in medicine. And I know it's time for us to be seen like that. And so with the systems in the way that they're currently, we're thinking outside the box here, and we can help and leverage our overall knowledge. It's definitely a good time to be a pharmacist and showcasing that. We have a lot more experience than the yoga instructors that are also health and wellness coaches and all of these other health gurus. So your time is now. I will go ahead and I'm going to send out an email on how to join the consulting community at the end of the day. And it will also have, I put here, an offer for you to take your time having either watched this or joining me today. And I'm really excited for what this could be for all of you. The goal is transformation. I want you to be overall inspired and fulfilled in your journey as a pharmacist, and finally using the education and the knowledge and the skills that you have, and to see yourself as that capable person that provides value to then serve others. I know you are. And so at the end of the day, and by the end of this weekend, I will be at least closing the special just to be open with everybody, because I want those that are really eager and wanting this to be now for them to run. And we're going to start next week with our weekly sessions. And then from there, we'll go through the core education and then live sessions on a regular basis to get you continued on the momentum, overcoming any barriers. And we'll have some guest speakers as well, because there's so many that are out there in pharmacy right now doing some really neat things. And I feel like we need to gain the inspiration, their insight, and not necessarily squirrel off and be like, I want to do what they're doing if it's completely opposite of what you're doing, but use their overall mission that they've come from struggles. A lot of us have had struggles to get to where we're at, but I think when one door closes, another opens, and every struggle we have to look at trying to figure out how can we make this work, right? And overcome it, especially if it's really something you're passionate about. So I'm excited. I'd like to know, what other questions do you have? Because we have a couple more minutes. It was so nice to meet you all. We forget the hard work and where we've come. And I know a lot of us end up getting beaten up a bit and abused by the system and not seen or heard or recognized. Great question, Teresa. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't make any really good solid recommendation on you should choose X business entity over X business entity. So LLC over a S Corp, a C Corp, or sole proprietorship. So the question was, do I recommend owning or forming an LLC? What I do recommend is coming and putting together a minimally viable product with us in the consulting community, especially before starting anything. And from that, I would say you would want to suggest looking at like a lawyer. And I've spoken to pharmacists that have done both. My Prosper RX is currently an LLC. The big picture is I might switch it to a corporation eventually. It's all going to depend on the financial goals and outlook of that particular entity, right? And so I can't tell you legal advice, but I would say it is something that I personally have as an LLC, but I own a C corporation for the coffee shop, but I might start an S corporation, and I have a nonprofit. So there's a lot of options. You got to make sure that you're doing your investigation for which one fits you, but don't just start an LLC and say I have a business. That's not the way to go about it. And so you'll find when you join the community, I don't emphasize that up front. I want you to have something tangible and then start doing some of the extra work. Those are just tedious tasks, but they're not actually what matters. What other questions do you guys have? It's been so, I think, hopefully informative for you. And my goal is to hopefully inspire you. I really would love to have each and every one of you join me and the consulting community, learn what it takes to build your business, the steps to growing it and marketing it and scaling it and getting it out for the public to see, and use your knowledge and find that fulfillment that you may have been searching for. I know it took me a while to find it, and I'm really excited to be able to share that with you. Thank you so much, guys. And Brittany, did you have a question? Please. I'm seeing your hand. It's hanging out there.
Yeah. Hey, Ashley. This is Brittany. We were talking in the DMs this morning. I'm in the perimenopause space, and I was going the coaching route, but talking and listening to this, I'm trying to, figure out, like, do I need to change my messaging in terms of being a consultant? And I'm just trying to I don't really know what my question is right now.
No, but I'm glad you said. Yeah.
Trying to figure out how do I, because I do want to, I am a doctor, I am a pharmacist, I do have knowledge, and I really want to stay in the perimenopause space, but just trying to figure out like how does that work? Because
I
all
mean,
I could initially
I'm
see
gonna
was coaching.
I'll tell you, at least from my thoughts, and everybody can, chime in if they're kind of thinking the same thing. But I would just say, I have a ex practice. I'm a doctor. But when you say coach, I feel like it kind of undermines your knowledge and your education. But that's just me. Not to say that coaching isn't exactly a great term. And if that's what you're comfortable with, go for it.
Okay, just changing the language. Okay,
That's
and then and you're go ahead.
For my diabetes prevention practice, I usually, my husband would be like, "Oh, my wife, she's a pharmacist," and then he would like pull me in, which he's done so many times, and I've landed clients that way. But he's like, "She has a diabetes practice," and he'd be like pulling me over, and then that's usually how it ended up. And I would just, yeah, I'm a pharmacist, but I have a diabetes holistic wellness practice, and help to turn your diabetes around or your pre-diabetes from turning into it. Or if you're even worried about it, if you're worried you're headed that direction, if people are talking about, like the doctors are talking about your sugars are high, or like metformin, or your diet needs to be changed, we need to have a conversation. So I wasn't even calling myself, like a coach or a consultant or anything. It was just like, I have this practice and I'm helping people like you.
Okay. So thank you for that. Yeah, that can just change the way I'm referring and the language that I'm using when I'm putting out my message. So thank you for that.
Of course. I'm so glad to have you here today, Brittany, and I'm excited to hear how your perimenopause program goes, and would love to have you as well in the consulting community to help guide you and make sure you've also got the community kind of backing you, because it feels like an alone and soul space when you're, branching into these unknowns, these new spaces that pharmacists aren't exactly used to being in. What other questions do you guys have? We're at time in 1 minute. Kristen!
Bye. Thanks, Ashley.
Yes.
Great job. Love
Thanks.
you.
So good to see you. Love you.
See you later.
Bye. It's always nice to see friendly faces and familiar faces, but then I'm so glad to see you all. And I'll be sending out an email to everybody here today. And please stay tuned if you'd like to join the community for that special offer. And it will be closing at that price as well by the end of this weekend. So hope you have a wonderful day. Shoot me over any questions that you may have as well. I'm open to questions. Have a great day. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Hey, John. Hey, Iris. Hey, Maisha. And Roger, how are you? Have a great day, guys.